The following stream contains mature content and subject matter. Viewer discretion is advised. Why am I even here? Most people probably thought Eminem come up with this. Actually, maybe I am made of chocolate. This is Max Shankroom. The trailer you're about to witness will take you back to a time when I was on TV, which means buckle up, people. Where we're going, there are no breaks.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our following episode of Mage, the Ascension. My name is the Ravnos Archon. I am your storyteller this evening. And before we jump into episode 3, let's let everybody introduce themselves and their characters.
Hey everybody, I am Mama McStabber in Twitch chat, and you can find me on socials at Relendare. And I will be playing Lydia Thompson, your favorite ecstatic.
Hi, I'm Maddox. I will be playing Arthur Light, the totally not in over his head young Euthanatos.
Oh, sorry, I thought you were still talking.
Didn't have anything to say today.
I'm Ivy Raven. I play Anita Maple of the Verbena tradition.
And I am Brad, Timber Brad 411, and I'll be playing Alistair, the worst hermetic mage ever, high on life, but certainly not drugs, thanks to somebody.
High on life, indeed. We left off with everyone kind of bedding down for the evening. We got to see Lydia go to the mutiny and meet with the Cardinal twins. We got to see Anita go to the park and meet up with Bashir. We got to see Alistair kind of dealing with an addiction that kind of helps him with the whole issue of being reality's puppet and servant, while also trying to be its master. And we got to see Arthur trying to work some of his beat and try to get the matron on board. And we're going to pick up with Alistair. I would love to see just the shift in mentality and personality, as I don't think he is normally a morning person, but hearing the birds outside, the little bit of traffic, the radio downstairs, probably playing Ring My Bell by Anita Ward. There isn't the typical mentality for you. You are rushed with dopamine. You are happy. You're excited. You're awake.
I almost imagine Alistair is probably like walking around, like we're in Lydia's place, correct?
Right.
Okay. So I imagine he's probably like walking around the kitchen looking for stuff to make coffee or something. Because he's just awake and ready to go. Like it just get the day started, like full of energy.
Yeah.
Maybe even like actually seeing if there's stuff to make breakfast, not even like processing yet that like he's got all this energy and it's morning, so he's just like looking for stuff to do.
Yeah, no, there's definitely enough to get you started. And as the coffee starts percolating and you can see that black gold starting to pour into the pot, you notice that there's silhouettes walking around the periphery of your vision. Every time that you kind of turn to look at them, they vanish. But it almost looks like they're picking stuff up. There's two that are about your size, and there's one that's a little smaller, maybe about a foot shorter than you.
Hello?
The apartment washes away. There's a cold sensation, and you see that you're in a large room. Still the kitchen. It's not Lydia's kitchen, though. On the window, you can see that there is a small, maybe closed fist width of snow from overnight. Outside, you can see the Chicago skyline. Clear into downtown.
Does it look familiar to me, the room?
Not at all.
Can I tell from the scenery where about in Chicago I would be?
You lived in Chicago for a little bit. Give me a perception and streetwise roll. Let's say difficulty 5, since you actually lived in Chicago.
I did and do.
Touche.
All right, should have had this open.
It's okay.
Right. You said perception and
Streetwise.
You said 5?
Yeah, difficulty 5.
3.
3. From the appearance of the buildings, you know you're on the north side, probably around Buffalo Grove or Barrington, given the angle that you're at.
is because Alistair would have lived more like South Side Chicago. So this isn't like anywhere I've necessarily lived.
Yeah, the angle of the buildings is completely opposite to what you remember growing up in or living around. And then there's a small hand that kind of fits itself into your left hand.
And like reflexively, I imagine the feeling is a bit familiar. So it's just like a friendly sort of squeeze and looking towards the hand.
It is Sarah looking up at you, but she's glowing.
What are you doing here?
I'm picking up after you. And she turns, and you see the two silhouettes of what has to be Jonathan and Andrew, holding what looks to be these massive, like large 2.5 by 2.5 feet. At first, what looks like tiles, like curved tiles, but you recognize them as the scales of your avatar.
Iggy?
She looks up and she smiles. Oh, he's gone. They're gone. It's gone. We're here.
That doesn't make sense. You've never been here.
Oh, we're here now. That's nice, isn't it?
I mean, it's always good to see you, but this is wrong.
Yeah, she puts her head against your hand.
And then, like, instinctively, Alistair, like, pull her in close, giving her a hug. A big portion of his recent waking life has been looking for her.
Mm-hmm.
And after the phone call, not really getting a chance to talk to her, just having, like, seeing her and being able to, like, hug her, I think it's a reflex that he takes full advantage of.
Yeah, and she's warm. She is warmer than you remember. She is warm in the coldness of the house that you're currently in. You see them open the door and they step out. She starts to pull you, and as she does, you can see that the clothes that you were wearing have melted away. You're now in what would be a typical winter kind of accoutrement. You have an undershirt, a shirt, a sweater, and then a jacket, jeans, boots, a hoodie, of course. And as she pulls you out, we get a glimpse of what might have been if you had stayed with her and the family, and if they weren't terrible pieces of garbage. So we get to see kind of glimpses with him, with her, and you smell the coffee, but the scenery has become a bookstore. Through the window, you can see the reflection of the name across the street in the kind of reflective mirrors. You don't see the subtitle of what the bookstore is actually called, but you do see this big name. You see the backwards S, the apostrophe, the E, the O, the C, the S, the O, and the R. And you see this very nice and warm-looking gentleman with this kind of short black hair, this very well-kept beard. You shoot over, and as he comes over, the scenery changes again. You see you're running around with her in Wrigley Field. You're throwing the ball to each other. You can see some of the Cubs kind of practicing off to the side. The silhouettes of Andrew And Jonathan and David are there as well. You can see all of them, kind of how you remember them in their height displayed. And then you were all on the shore of Lake Michigan, just kind of skipping stones. The city's so far away, the sounds are so far away. And the only one that looks visibly there to you is her.
And I imagine he hasn't let go of her hand
At all.
like once during this entire time, just because he's been looking for her. And now that he's got, like, even for a moment when he just kind of sort of forgets, he feels like he's found her and just holds on to her.
She smiles, and as she does, you're brought back to Lydia's apartment. The coffee has finished. It's a pot full of what looks to be about 6 cups worth of coffee. There's a plate of scrambled eggs, toast, a little ketchup smile.
What the fuck did I take? And then, like, instinctively, he kind of like looks down at his hand, looks for a few cups, kind of just sits them out on the table for other people when they get up. And I think he just kind of sits there, um, just sort of enjoying the memory of seeing her, and then probably still kind of like looking at his hand, almost like he can still feel holding it. Yeah, and I think he just kind of sits there until everybody else gets up.
Yeah. And she pulls the chair from around to sit next to you. You can see her feet kind of dangling. They don't reach the floor. And she's just humming. And you know deep inside that the dragon's gone. This is what it's like to not have something to chase, to be at peace with yourself and the avatar. There's no struggle for control. There's no need to prove yourself. It just accepts you.
But I imagine there's also the feeling of knowing that as good as this feels and as warm as it feels, that it's like a perverse version of reality for him, because he's always been chasing this kind of life with his siblings.
Yeah. And there is just, the question is left lingering as she starts to vanish, and you hear the radio switching off. You can hear Lydia kind of coming upstairs as the smell of coffee is wafted down. Would Anita still be around in the morning, or would she have gone off to acquire said grocery list?
I was gonna ask if there was any chance that stuff would be open like at the crack of dawn or not.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say Nita probably would have been out and about when right as the sun was coming up anyway. So she would have gone to procure her goods.
Okay. So we'll say the reason that the radio is turning off is because Anita has come back with said items. The avocados and the oranges were the easiest to find. It took some doing to get a live chicken.
That's fair.
A lot of it was that they had plenty of dead chickens and were prepared and ready for cooking.
Oh my goodness, Anita, here, let me take that chicken.
I mean, and Anita would have, while she had been out and about, she probably would have like bought a cage or something to go
Yeah,
with it. So
I'm
she
sure
wasn't
it's
just-
in something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she's not just carrying around.
Yeah,
by the
so she
legs,
let me carry that. You can take the bag up to the kitchen, store stuff in the fridge until you're ready to take it. But I'm gonna put the chicken probably out on my patio or my balcony and with some water and something to eat.
yes, give it its last meal.
Yes, exactly.
I was gonna say I don't think the avocados and the oranges need to be refrigerated, so
Okay.
it's okay.
Whatever you want to put them. And
I'll just set the bag down in the kitchen. So
And as soon as anybody like walks into the kitchen, Alistair is immediately like offering them plates of food and coffee, like fresh brewed. And he's absolutely like almost to the point of like ridiculously chipper at this point. Just very awake and productive, which especially Lydia and Anita would know is not him at all.
Anita actually goes over and she puts the back of her wrist, or like the part of her wrist, on Alistair's like forehead. Can I roll anything to see if he's like clean or?
Sure. Let's have you make an intelligence and medicine check, or perception and medicine, whichever you'd like.
Okay. I'll do perception, medicine. So what's my difficulty since?
We'll go with 5.
Okay. Oh wow, my one good roll of the season. 5 successes
Okay.
with 2 10s, which I don't know if that matters.
It'll definitely give you a little bit more of a boost. He definitely doesn't look like he's high on anything normal, but he is kind of very different than you remember him. And even with a simple touch and just a rudimentary amount of life, you can tell that his dopamine levels are off the chart right now.
Are you using something new there, Alistair?
I don't think so, but I do feel really good.
She kind of turns and looks at Lydia.
Lydia just put the chicken out on the patio that's there on the second floor, or balcony, I should say. And she's coming back into the kitchen. She looks at the eggs real quick and she's like, yeah, no, I'm not going to do cannibalism with the chicken. And she's scrounging in her cabinets trying to find some kind of like grain that she can give to the chicken.
And I imagine, regardless, Alistair is probably still like looking towards the chicken while eating the eggs.
What's up? What's up, Anita?
Did you give Alistair something?
Something like what?
I don't know, but he's got a lot of those like real feel good.
Oh, okay. Just so you know, I've probably never told you this, but I woke up in like this freaking hallucinogenic fucking shit. It was a wild ass experience, but after that, I have never touched shit.
Okay, well, I just didn't know if you. Okay, I'm assuming he didn't. He claims he didn't take anything. You didn't do it. I didn't do it. So you just hear Anita just like yells Arthur's name. I'm not gonna yell Arthur.
I don't think he's here. Is he? No, he went back home.
No, he has his own apartment.
And I feel like, wait. How long was I out?
Oh,
like a day.
I've got time. How long was he out?
He was out. It is now about 8:30, almost 9 in the morning. And you got in around 3 or 4 in the afternoon.
But he was out before then.
Yeah, he's been out for a good 16 hours at least.
At least 16 hours.
I
think Arthur might have come upstairs while Ricardo was helping me downstairs. Wonder if he
Wait,
did
wait.
something.
Wait. So you're telling me this isn't whatever I took or yesterday?
Oh no, honey. What you're taking? What is it you're normally taking?
Uh, whatever's available.
Okay, well,
Um,
most things don't make you like this. I've seen you in action on the stuff, okay? Lethargic is a compliment.
Yeah, no, I feel good,
I can tell.
but that definitely explains the changes. My avatar is different.
Okay, what was it before?
You ever see those like heavy metal like dragons?
Yeah.
Like that, but high.
Yeah, that's not on the nose or anything, Alistair.
And I think it's my family now?
Fascinating.
But yeah, I woke up. I had a lot of energy and I was like, oh.
Well, thank you for
I'd make
coffee. And
some-
she takes a sip as she's getting some stuff for the chicken. She's got some actual dried corn that she's got for the chicken, and she's got some a bowl of water for it. And I'll be right back. I've got to make sure this chicken's set up. And she she goes out and gives the chicken food and water.
It clucks appreciatively.
And she pats it on the head and closes the cage back up.
And with the time too, would Alistair be able to sort of get a feeling for how long he expects before he starts to feel? Would he have any idea of how much time it's going to be before he might start feeling like trash?
Given that you have mind and time, easily. It's a simple level 1 of each, just to kind of suss out how much time you have left. And you're gonna be like this until at least 6 or 7 in the evening.
So it will end.
Yeah.
I think Alistair is just going to start going through his pockets trying to see what he has on him. Having seen people go through withdrawal, like, he doesn't feel the need to use, but if he knows this is going to end and what that's going to turn into, he's sort of planning for the future.
Okay. You have at least a joint. You've got a couple of little baggies of some other party favors and a pill or two.
Okay.
When Lydia walks back in and sees his
Stash.
recreational products, she's like, "So you got
And
you got juiced out on dopamine?"
He immediately, like, as she walks in, like, he'll put everything back in his pocket temporarily.
She sits down with her cup of coffee.
I think I'm clean.
Yeah, you basically got the speed run through detox.
I would argue we probably need to get his dopamine back into a reasonable level, so he's not just woo all the time, because that'll burn you out too.
Yeah, the
But I
crash is
mean,
going to be hard.
do you want to stay like this? Do you want to be clean? Because I mean, I'm pretty sure between Lydia and I, we could probably,
Make that happen,
yeah.
but that's
I
up to
mean,
you.
if our guess that Arthur is the one who facilitated this, and he is still young, I would
Trust it
say
to some
that,
people with some experience.
yeah.
Let's address that when it's more of an immediate problem.
Well, think about it when you're
Be-
not jonesing for something else.
Yeah, because when it's an immediate problem, you're going to be wanting your fix. So just, I have a lunch date in a few hours. Try to let me know by then.
I'm going to try and also I'm going to try and ask a few questions in some other circles to see, because maybe you won't go back. I'm curious how it changed for you, because it sounds like you had. What is the avatar then? Like, I have my own. I know I have my connected mind, but like if you're saying yours is just gone, but it's still there, did you?
I think it changed. I've been using as long as I can remember. At first it was fun and then became necessary. And then shit happens, people die, assholes become bigger assholes, and drugs just take away the pain. I feel fine now. But once the dopamine wears off and the dependency kicks in, what's to say I'm not just detoxing already and I won't know until 6 or 7? What if it's just masking it? What if the pain comes back?
Alistair, you know what I've been through. The pain is always going to be there. You have to learn to live with it instead of running away from it.
And I think, like, reflexively, Alistair would pull out, like, cigarettes, just sort of, like, mechanical memory. And then, like, as he goes to, like, light it, realizing he doesn't actually feel the need to smoke it. And he just kind of, like, sits it down. Yeah, I don't know.
Alistair, if I may, you're talking about the pain, the drugs were helping you cover the pain. The problem is that you weren't just covering up the pain, you were also covering up any good.
Yeah.
Anything that would have been worth more than the pain, or some sort of, I don't want to say starting over point, but like continuance, was all being like, paved over, as it were.
You were numbing yourself.
You can't say, oh well, the pain, sure, we've all suffered loss of certain to certain degrees, but you have to decide moving on from that point. And if your only option, or you believe your only option, is always to just take a pill or smoke something, you're not moving on.
You will chase that dragon right to your grave.
Of course, it's your life. do what you want with it. I'm not going to tell you what you should or shouldn't do. Maybe Lydia will, but that's not my style right now.
I'm not. I told you to think on it and make a decision. Whatever decision you make, I'll respect. It is your life. I would just hope you'd understand that there is joy to be found. But you won't find it if you're numb.
I think I get that now. Been a while. Clear-headed.
Well, if it's any consolation, I rather like this version.
Yeah, mornings still suck though.
Oh, they do. Especially when you don't sleep all night due to nightmares. You want to talk pain? Oh, I could talk pain for days. And she gets up and puts her cup in the sink.
Yeah, and I think at that point, Alistair just kind of drinks the coffee and just thinks about weighing, trying to go through, like trying to keep, kind of trying to decide which road to go down. Because he's seen people detox. He's probably gone through versions of withdrawal throughout his life, so it's kind of he's at a crossroads, and he's still not entirely sure how he wants to deal with it.
Okay. Well, you've got time. Anita doesn't have to leave until much later on, about the time when you're going to crash. Lydia will be leaving sooner than that. And as we leave you kind of in that nebulous, heavy thought, around the same time, we're going to shift over to the downtown police department precinct. And we see Arthur standing at the front desk. One of the secretaries trying to get your attention. She is snapping her fingers in front of you, and you come to.
Right. Sorry. What do you need?
Oh, Officer Light, Sergeant. Oh, lost myself. Lieutenant Geller wants to talk to you, but Sergeant Hoffman also asked to see you for a moment before you go in there.
All right. Do you know where the sergeant would be right now? Is he just in his office or?
No, he should be in the bullpen with the rest of the boys.
All right. Thank you. And I'll head that way.
Okay. And as you go upstairs to one of the detective wings, you can see at the end of the hall, there's the lieutenant's office, and there's this big kind of open space where you recognize Sergeant Caleb Hoffman, and he motions to you.
I'll head over. Morning, Sergeant.
Officer?
How can I help?
I didn't want to interrupt you while you were talking to the gentleman earlier, but I saw that Lieutenant Geller wants to talk to you.
Yeah, I was just informed of that myself.
Whatever he asks you, you know nothing about. You understand?
Sure.
Okay, we'll talk when you're done.
I guess I'll head to the lieutenant's after that oddity.
And you are trying to piece together what he's talking about, what gentleman you might have been talking to. And as you walk into Geller's office, he smiles. Officer Light, close the door, please.
I shut it behind me. Morning, Lieutenant.
Lieutenant Matthew Geller is a little older. He's got the mustache and nothing else as far as facial hair goes, but it is a thick mustache. He definitely looks like if he wasn't your new superior officer, he would have been a porn star. He's got that kind of chilled body, very much stretching out the threading of his uniform. But he opens a file folder and puts it in front of his desk, and he's like, "You're in the downtown beat. What do you know about the Southeast Financial Center construction site? Anything weird going on over there?"
Do I know anything about that construction site, storyteller?
Aside that it's been one of the newer constructions in the city, not really.
Nothing out of the ordinary. The site popped up pretty recently.
He slides the top picture of the construction site aside, and you see what looks to be 3 bodies that are been buried in the foundational perimeter of it. And he's like, "These were found last night. Sergeant Hoffman is running point on this. He specifically asked for you. Since this is your beat, I wanted to see if anything weird has been popping up, if anybody has talked about going on rampages. This is 3 dead bodies, Officer Light. Anything and everything would help."
Have we already gotten them to the coroner or anything like that yet?
No, I've got a couple of uniforms down at the ABC construction office asking questions.
While I'm sort of like perusing over all this and stuff, can I just do a quick tick and check how Entropy's feeling about the situation?
Sure.
Because something already feels off. I was told that I don't know anything, but I don't know anything. This doesn't feel right.
How are you going to use your focus in front of a sleeper? Or are you going to try to shoot from the hip?
Arthur's gonna start talking like full-on procedure, like what steps have already been taken, where are we gonna start looking, what's next, and just using the rote of he's using very technical language in this case, so it's the rote and routine of procedure so much, and I would like to try and go through the focus of voice and vocalization.
Okay.
And end it off with, just start looking for any sort of pattern.
All right. Go ahead and roll your arete then.
Yes, sir.
You are not doing anything that's too vulgar. So I don't think it's going to be dangerous for you.
And I'm keeping the effect minimal so that even if it does go wrong, it's not too bad.
And it is a level 1, so it's just going to be a difficulty 6.
That gives me 1 success.
Okay. You start looking over it, you start using your voice, the cadence, the kind of listing bullet points that you're used to from the academy to help you try to find the threads of how fate is attached itself to these bodies. And the moment that you start trying to figure out how they fit in the pictures, they start to glitch. They start to vanish. And they're replaced with sarcophagi, 3 of them. And then the bodies come back.
And you said the sergeant wants me specifically on this?
Ask for you by name. I figured it has to do with the fact that the detective's exam is coming up in a couple months. He might want you to shadow him.
I'll do my best, sir. But
Yeah.
I can start in on whatever you guys need me for, I guess.
All right. He's running point, so he'll report to me whatever he needs.
All right, so I'm guessing just report to him now.
Yeah. You got your orders.
Yes, sir. May we wake up to a better Miami tomorrow. And I'll head out the office.
Okay. You go back to Lieutenant Hoffman or Sergeant Hoffman.
Sergeant,
Officer.
you wanted me on point, so here I am.
Yeah, this is your beat, so I figured if anybody has asked the right questions or if anybody knows the people, you would be the one to go to. I got a couple of other uniforms that I've spread out already. I sent them over to the construction offices, asking questions. Have you been to this building? The construction site itself?
I haven't specifically gone there. I think I've walked past it a few times.
It's weird, isn't it?
I didn't get any odd vibes when I passed it or anything, did I? Storyteller?
The moment he asks you if it's weird, you start to remember that every time that you've ever gone to the construction site, you've always found a reason to avoid it. You've never been to it per se.
It's a little odd. Can I clarify something with you real quick, Sergeant?
Yeah. Yeah, what's up?
Not that I really had much to offer anyways, but why did you not want me to say anything specific to the lieutenant?
He looks to the right and then he looks to the left and then make almost like he's about to say a dirty joke. He's very cognizant of who's listening, and he gets about 3 or 4 inches closer to you. There's something going down in the city. And I keep having, I don't mean this in any sexual way, but I keep having dreams with you in them. And he hands you a letter. This came in around the same time that you were assigned to this precinct. And you see it's a beautiful letter. The envelope itself has a wax seal that is broken, that looks like an upside down V or an A without its dash. And inside, it is gibberish. It is like the Wingdings font, symbols, symbolism, runes, Japanese kanji, things that don't make sense, hieroglyphics.
Anything that I couldn't read, essentially.
Yeah. Yeah. He's like, everyone I show that to sees symbols and strange writing, but I can read it clear as day.
What does it say?
It's an invitation to join a society called the Arcanum. They warned me about you specifically, Officer Light.
Me? Storyteller.
Yeah?
I'm going to tap into my past life and figure out if I know anything about the Arcanum.
Okay. That is a good use of that background.
Although I've only done this once, so I'm immediately already forgetting how to roll it.
It's okay. So it's going to be an intelligence, and we'll say alertness and use your past life dice
All right.
as well.
I have 2 in past life. Okay.
Yep.
And what's my target number?
Say 7.
Gotcha. No successes after a 1.
Oh. You start to pull on distant memories, on dreams within dreams. You remember looking down, seeing that same A on the tabard of a squire, someone like a squire, handing you a weapon. Your hands are gloved. You can see the metal of the vambraces on your arms, but that's as much as you get.
Sergeant, you know I would never do anything to hurt you or anyone here, right?
That's what my gut tells me.
This is in plain English for you when you read it.
Plain English. Clear as day.
I know someone in the city who might be able to help me figure some of this out. Would you allow me to take this?
Sure.
I'll bring it back. I'll just fold it and pocket it for now. In the meantime, we have an active crime scene, don't we?
Yeah. Come on. I have a squad car waiting for us.
Yes, sir.
And you go down to the downtown area. So now we're going to shift over a couple hours. Has anything exciting happened in Lydia's apartment before Ricardo gets there?
No, she had basically barely slept the night before because of her nightmares. And she ended up spending most of the night getting the bottom floor pretty much situated now where it's just about ready to open. And she took a shower, got herself done up for her little date.
He shows up early. You see that he has an undershirt, a kind of work shirt, a Hawaiian shirt with about the top 4 buttons undone, jeans, nice shoes, bit of jewelry, completely different than you remember him. You see that he's kind of fidgeting with his ring on his right hand, and it's on his middle finger. He looks nervous.
Well, Lydia meets him at the door. She's wearing a pink and black sweater dress that comes about mid-thigh. She's wearing thigh-high leather boots, high-heeled. She comes, Ricardo.
Hey, ¿qué pasó? You ready for some lunch?
Absolutely.
All right.
Are you okay?
Yeah. It's just, not every day you go out with a pretty girl.
Oh, come on. You can't tell me you don't have him lined up. And she takes his arm.
He leads you to his sister's car,
Mm-hmm.
opens the door for you, gets in, drives off, and you go to a little apartment by the riverside, the Miami River. It's not the best river. It is slowly turning brown as all the kind of traffic comes up and down. Trade, mostly big cargo containers and things like that. But you have a conversation, you talk to him. You find out that he is an artist, He is trying to work with words on canvas, turning them into scenery and things like that. Something that his sister has kind of urged him to do. You find out that he and her work at the mutiny to just kind of keep in touch with what's going on, kind of help out the situation, keep the Russians in check, since they're starting to overpopulate the beach. And Coconut Grove is one of the few places that you can kind of hop into to make landfall and spread into the rest of the city. But the whole time he is just locked in to you. He is not all over the place like he was. He is not trying to find angles. He's there.
And she's just smiling at him and engaging him in conversation the whole time. And she looks at the art that he's been doing and she's like, Ricardo, this is truly amazing.
Oh no, it's okay. I mean, I can get better. It's just,
Well, we all can get better, but
yeah, I mean, this is just, a little drawing pad. Like I don't actually have anything on canvas yet, so it's sketches.
I love it.
blueprints.
I love it.
Thanks. And you see him blush.
Well, for me, I'm a dancer,
Okay.
and I also am a practitioner of sorts. I am opening my place. It's going to be a Tantra center offering guided meditation, massage, and yoga.
Okay.
And because I spent some time after college with the Peace Corps, it's where I woke up, as it were, and pick up a few things while I was in a foreign country teaching little girls how to speak English.
Oh, that's ridiculous. Not the teaching the girls to speak English. I mean, like, awakening in a different land, because it's kind of the same thing that happened with me and Teresa. We were out there. Me and her, we came with our father a few years ago. We had to leave the oppressiveness of the island, and a couple of friends of the family, they decided to construct a boat and leave. And out there, when you start to run out of water and you start thinking about choices that have to be made, you definitely open your eyes to what the world has to offer.
Yeah, you do. I am glad that you and Teresa made it.
Yeah, we take care of each other. It's
I can tell. I have a brother.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What's his name?
Michael,
Oh, older or younger?
older.
Okay, so he took care of you.
Yeah, he tried. We are like night and day, though.
Oh, okay. So he's calm then, is what I'm getting. He's not a crazy person.
Are you saying I'm crazy?
No, I'm just saying you want to go to a construction site after going to lunch and stirring trouble. So yeah, there's a little crazy. Yeah, sure.
Does it scare you?
No.
Then why
World
are
needs
you
a little crazy.
nervous?
I don't know if I want to get rolled up in what's going on. Like, what are me and Teresa gonna do? We're nobodies. Just trying to keep our heads down and survive. There's a lot of people in the
Ricardo,
city that don't want us here, so
you are not a nobody, and neither is Teresa. I saw how you were willing to sacrifice damn near everything for her
when?
years from now.
Oh, that hasn't happened yet. So
And I hope it won't have to happen because you sacrificed yourself in the process.
was it heroic though? Was it like, a shootout? Was it movie like?
No, you stabbed a man to steal his blood.
That's pretty gross.
Yeah. To give it to Daniel so he could travel back in time and become a monster.
Well, I haven't met Daniel, so I can't go stabbing anybody who I haven't met yet. So
Well, you don't have to worry. The gentleman that you stabbed seems to no longer exist because Daniel removed him completely.
okay. So if he doesn't exist, I can't stab him, and if I can't stab him, then I'm absolved from all
I'm not
crimes.
saying that you'll become that. I'm just saying that's what I saw. Like I said, I like this version of you better.
Eh, what can I say? It's the shirt.
It is the shirt. The shirt is very nice.
It's very smart.
Yes, it is.
Teresa hates this shirt.
Yes, but you love it.
It's true.
Well, if you don't want to go to the construction company, it's fine.
No, I'm here. We're here. I might as well. Can't let a lady go off on her own and get into trouble.
But it's what I do best.
Yeah, but then I'll never hear the end of it from Teresa, so I gotta do the right thing.
All right. All right.
And as you two head over to the ABC construction site, you see that there are 2 police cars parked out in front. There's a couple of officers looking like they're questioning people who are standing in a line. There's maybe like 6 or 7 of them still lined up. The doors open to one of the big main trailers, and you can see that there's an officer in the doorway that is relaying information back and forth to somebody inside, to the 2 that are in line. But Ricardo just kind of pulls in to one of the free spots. Okay, so what are we gonna do about the police?
Lydia wants to observe the whole area to see.
The construction site itself, the construction offices rather, are a small 3-story building. There's a big, wide kind of mobile command center of a trailer where everybody's kind of gathered around. You can see that there's images of what looks to be this tall skyscraper. There are signs and signatures and kind of promotional images for what looks to be the financial center with an address downtown.
Actually, I got what I need, Ricardo.
Okay.
It's an address downtown. They're building a financial center.
Oh yeah. It's that big building construction that they're.
Yeah.
Okay. We didn't have to punch nobody. That's a good day.
Yeah, no. I'm not going to go punching cops. Not today.
And he drives back to your apartment. Around this point, Anita and Alistair have had most of the day to kind of hang out.
Mhm.
You are close to the crash, but you're also close to the time that Anita should be making her way to talk to Bashir. Do you want to see what happens to Alistair, or do you want to...
Lydia can be there.
Were we told if we needed to reach out to Wrinkle how we would be able to do that?
You have the wonder that lets you go back to Horizon.
Do we know how to use that?
Yep.
Because I think before Alistair made any decisions trying to figure out what 2 years of sobriety would change and how that might fuck him
Mhm.
before he made any other decisions. Because a lot happens in 2 years.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think at some point, like while he's still got a little bit of time, he would look over to Anita and is like, I need to check something. And then Alistair would do whatever he's supposed to do with this key thing.
Okay. Let me roll some dice. So you go up to a closed door, you tap the key against the lock itself, and you unlock a door that doesn't need to be unlocked. The key itself, you do hear a clicking noise. Oh, good. I didn't botch, so there's no paradox that gets spread around. And when you open the door, like to the bathroom, instead of the bathroom on the other side, you see that clinical hallway of the Horizon. You can see the doors with the planets. And at the end of the hallway, you can see that archway that leads to whatever present waits for you. And sitting on the floor, excuse me, like a homeless man asking for change, you can see Wrinkle, and the wrinkles of his suit are more pronounced because it looks like wherever there's a wrinkle, there's been a tear to his fabric, and it's been hastily sewn back together. The edges have ripped and torn and frayed. He looks disheveled at best, and every so often he glitches.
So Alistair at that point will step through and approach.
Before Alistair steps through, Anita's actually going to put her hand on his shoulder and just be like, do you, or is this something you want to do alone, or do you need moral support?
I need an answer before I make a decision.
Okay, well, I will be waiting here then, since it sounds like you have your conviction needed to ask your question.
And then Alistair will step through.
You hear the sound of cars crashing, the explosion of reality kind of warping as you step through one time period into no time period, and then up to the archway that will lead you to the present day. And Rinko just shakes a tin cup of change as you walk by him.
Alistair will look in his pocket for whatever he has money-wise and put something in the cup.
Yeah. You step through the archway, and there's a rush. Because you have time, you understand immediately that you have shifted. You are now in 1992. It is August. It feels heavy. Something is going on. And if you could describe for me what it would be like for Alistair to have come from 1984, 1988 to 1992 without ever having lost touch with Sarah. What would that have done to him?
I imagine he would be like, first of all, he'd be sober, mainly because I think as Sarah's gotten older, she's like, if there were ever times where like maybe he used like once or twice, she was always kind of like the disappointed little sister, like almost like being like the mother figure he never really had growing up, just kind of like scolding him and stuff, kind of like keeping him on the straight and narrow. Um, I think he would be still like a lot of the same like mannerisms, still very much a metalhead, but not completely and totally wasted, like actually enjoying the music, enjoying the art, as opposed to enjoying more of the scene by proxy. And definitely not like being able to enjoy the stuff around him as opposed to just sort of surviving through it.
Yeah, you are in this time period, on this timeline. You live with Sarah. You live with David. The three of you got out. You survived your parents. You survived your brothers. You have a mentor that cares about you.
I mean, let's be fair. Victor cared. He was just really bad at his job.
Oh, you don't have Victor anymore. You have a professor at the University of Miami.
Oh.
Who specializes in, historical art. And he wants the best for you. And he has tried to do what he can to make sure that Sarah and David can get a free ride to the university once they're of age. This is a timeline that never saw the explosion at the Biltmore. So there was never a need to create a ritual to restore avatars. Life is different here. You can feel it.
Well, it definitely answers one question. And I think at that point he would immediately look for, like, kind of step out of public view as best as he could and just look for a door to try to go back.
Okay. Easy enough. You find an alley. There's some newspaper on the floor. In big, bold letters, you see an image of the Florida coastline and just this massive white spiral of clouds. And it says South Florida braces for the most devastating storm on record. But you use the wonder again. You're the only one here, so if I bot, you're the only one that gets to take the paradox. No botches. You live today. But you go through, and you can feel that schism. You can feel how wrinkle looks. It racks your body as you're jumping not only from a timeline that has already been set in motion, but you're jumping to a different universe entirely. You're fully in the multiverse theory, living proof of it. Every decision creates a new timeline, a new universe. And now you're hopping back as all of them have been bottlenecked at 1992. You come back to 1981. No time has passed whatsoever.
So I imagine at this point Alistair basically walked into the bathroom, and so would the door have closed when he moved in?
Yep. So the door closes, and immediately when the click happens, the door opens back up.
I think he at that point, as soon as the door opens, he'll look at Anita and pull everything out of his pocket and just dump it in the toilet and flush it.
Well, that is some nice conviction, Alistair.
The next few days are gonna be a fucking pain.
No, it's okay. We're here for you. And I mean, we can look. I'm sure Lydia has some sort of exercises or, whatever. I know some meditation stuff. I can teach you some things. I'm sure Lydia can teach you some things. We can get through all of this and you'll be better on the other side of it. So, but I'll definitely have to make you some tea, since Anita knows one of those passed down through the family generations, herbal tea type things. So she'll get, she's kind of thinking in her head what she has to get for the recipe for it, but I'll make you some tea later, is what I'm saying. So
Sounds good.
Well, was it a good experience since you made the decision, or is this one of those things where it's you got the answer of you have to do it?
It's not something I have to do. It's something I need to do.
Fair enough.
Lydia can walk in whenever she...
At this point, Lydia walks in. Hey, y'all.
Hey.
So immediately as Lydia comes in, he's gonna take his version of the key and hand it to Lydia and say, "Keep that away from me."
All right. Thank you. I have no idea what's going on.
He went into the space where we met.
Oh,
Sprinkle, and because he said he had a question, and then he came back and he flushed his drugs. So I'm very proud of him.
Oh,
Yeah, I promised him that we would help him get through this. So I also promised him some tea later. I figured you probably know some things, and I know some things, and
absolutely.
together we'll combine our skill sets, and Alistair will be better for it.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Be very, very careful how and when we use these. And he points to the key that he handed her.
Okay. Why?
I needed an answer to make the choice. It wasn't exactly the answer I was looking for, but every time we use it, I feel like things get worse.
Good to know.
Not immediately.
My mentor told me that to be careful of what he called the wonders, that they can come with side effects.
And Anita kind of makes a little kind of smirk to herself at that comment because of the wonder she has, but it's just kind of a just like inside joke to herself.
But yes,
Yeah.
Alistair, I can help you. I'm sure, Anita, that you can as well.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Verbena are amazing when it comes to herbal teas and concoctions that can help alleviate symptoms. The two of us, I'm sure, are masters at meditation. Also, I can do massage for you when you have basically your physical symptoms of withdrawal, and I can actually help calm your mind and do yoga with you when you are ready for that to help you find a focus.
And then I think at that, Alistair immediately starts looking for a clock to see what time. Well, he has time too. So,
No.
yeah, what time is it?
It is in the moment that you look for a clock and you remember that you can just intuitively find the time out for yourself. The urge to vomit swells up in your mouth. You have this sensation of just too much saliva kind of welling up in your bottom lip, in the bottom underneath your tongue. And as the crash is about to happen, as Anita is about to leave, and as Arthur is kind of looking at the construction site, I think this is a good point to go to break. So we'll see you guys in a couple of minutes. Ooh, boy, what a heavy first half. But I think it's not going to get any lighter as we move into the second half. We left off with Lydia about to deal with the crash that Alistair is going to go through now that Arthur's help has worn off. We have to see what happens to Arthur when he actually comes across the construction site. But before that, I think we get to see Anita traveling on her motorcycle with a live chicken, a couple of avocados, and a bundle of oranges.
A well-fed live chicken.
A well-fed live chicken.
He's got that cage like up between the handlebars facing out forward, so like he's got like the wind blowing in it. So she's treating it real nice, you know.
Oh, it is like a dog out the window. It's got its head out the front. It is just taking in all the air. You show up at the designated address and you see Bashir. Excuse me. And he is flanked by an older looking, light skinned black man who has just this very curly but very tight to his head of hair, gray in certain areas, mostly black still, very light, almost hazel eyes, and this little bit of a goatee that has this spatter of auburn in it, and these little light constellation of not freckles but definitely some skin discoloration. And next to him is a older, um, not the same shade, but a little bit between Bashir and the other gentleman, is a black lady who has these very dark brown chocolate eyes, this just mane of almost light brown, like a very milky chocolate brown hair that is just unkept, and that you almost look at it and cannot believe that there is a scrunchie made that can contain that kind of hair. Um, Light form, a little lithe, thin. The other gentleman is heavier than Bashir, but he carries the weight well. And he steps forward. He's like, "Oh, it's good to see you. This is Bernard, Bernard Laveau, and this is Kathleen Marie Rousier. These are my mentors and the other verbena in the city."
Thank you for seeing me this afternoon, this evening. And Anita's she's got the chicken cage, she's got the avocados and the oranges, and she's like, I told Anita to bring these things, so hope they are satisfactory.
Oh yeah, of course. And he gives the chicken to Bernard, and he gives the avocados and the oranges to Kathleen, and they bring you inside and out back to what looks to be this dirt floored shed, and in the middle of it there's a hole that has been kind of dug out. The avocados and the oranges are left on a little outside counter, and as Kathleen puts them down, she picks up a bottle of what looks to be this amberish light brown liquid, and brings it with her into the room. In the room, you see Bernard pull the chicken out of the cage, very careful of it. And as they stand in a triangle, you can see Kathleen takes a big swig from the bottle, hands it to Bernard. Bernard takes a swig, lets some of it trickle down out of his mouth onto the chicken, and then hands the bottle to Bashir, who takes a swig and then hands it to you. You can participate if you would like, but I usually let them kind of handle everything.
I don't wish to intrude, but I would love to. I'd love to learn along with you. If that's okay. So Anita takes a swig as well.
Okay. And Kathleen immediately starts laughing, and she claps as she takes the bottle from you. This is a good one. I like her. And Bernard kind of nods, and as he's stroking the chicken, you see him suddenly just grab it and twist. And immediately you hear that kind of crack and cluck. And there is a moment where they take out this very almost obsidian looking cracked knife, and they start to perform surgery, for lack of a better word, on the chicken, and they pull its entrails, they pull its viscera out, and they let it drain out into this hole in the ground. And you can hear Bashir kind of rhythmically saying something. It must be Creole, because you can hear little bits of French in it. Kathleen is also doing the same. There are moments where she takes a swig from the bottle. You see her drinks some of it. She spits some of it out. Bernard is just kind of pulling and letting things come out and defeathering this bird. And after a moment, there is this primal scream that all three of them go through. And Bernard pulls out a Zippo, lights it, and holds it over the pool of the what's left of the chicken, and there's this ring of feathers, and immediately you just see it catch fire, and it glows blue for a moment, then it glows orange. The feathers around the edge start to crisp and blacken. There's this almost ethereal drumming, and you see that it's Bashir, and he's drumming with his feet. But it's not just him, it's also Bernard and Kathleen, and they're just almost not synced. And as their feet become furious and they start to stomp harder and harder, there is this rhythm that emerges. And then there's a scream from Bernard, and he pulls some more feathers and he throws them at Bashir. Bashir screams. He takes a swig from what now you realize is rum, and he spits it up into the air. And as the kind of vapor comes down, there's catches of the flame, and it starts to just kind of fly upward, and it creates this image. And it's very clear that it is the triangle within triangle within triangles of the verbena traditional image. And then everything goes quiet. The flame glows blue one last time, and then it snuffs itself out. And all that's left is this mud, this muddy and ruddy mixture in the hole. And Kathleen takes off her shoes and just steps into it. And you see her kind of stepping almost like she's making wine. But every time that she steps, it almost feels like her toes are kind of like grabbing into whatever she's stepping into. And then she holds out her hands to you, Anita.
Does it look like she's wanting me to like take her hands?
Yeah. She doesn't want you to step in.
Okay,
she just
yeah.
wants
Anita
to know if it's okay to take your hands.
Anita will like take her hands then.
Okay. You feel the rush of the avatars linking. There's a moment where you see the kind of grove of trees, you see the crone that you're used to seeing, but then you see that instead of this wild forest beyond, you can hear the lapping of water. You can see and smell the ocean, and there is this older looking black man, no facial hair, no eyebrows, milk white eyes, and just the white chalk paint of a skull, his skull, over his face. The top hat, no shirt, but he's wearing a vest, very elegant, clean pleated, richly purple silk pants, and no shoes or socks. And he walks up to you. You got a hell of a future in front of you, girl. If you want it.
I that's kind of what I've always been told, I guess. So I'm glad to be hearing that again. Uh, good, nice to make your acquaintance. I'm Anita Maple, which you probably already know.
There are things I know, there are things I don't know. You can call me Mr. Saturday.
Okay, Mr. Saturday.
How would you like a choice, Miss Maple?
Who doesn't like choice?
You seem to be in a world of trouble. Trouble that you have no business being involved in if you don't want to be.
Are you talking about the what is it? The 1982 vampires and time travel?
No, no. Don't lie. And he steps towards you again. The trouble is the burden. What if we could go back? We could change so that we skip a generation. What if I can absolve you of the weight?
Oh, so you mean of my my duty? Is that's what you're talking about? Or
Correct.
I don't know that. What is it? They always say, you know, the heavy is the head that wears the crown, but my head doesn't feel very heavy, and she kind of touches the brim of her hat.
And he touches the brim of his. You are going to have twins, Miss Maple. They will be better suited to share the load.
Yeah, but I'm still going to be there to be their teacher.
Oh, no. This gift gets passed on or it dies with you, Miss Maple.
What gift? You mean
And he holds up his hand and the heavens clear and there's just this beautiful view of the Milky Way stretched out before you, as if seen from the equator itself. You have everything lined up. You can barely see the bottom of Orion's belt. You can barely see the Big Dipper, the Little Dipper. There's just this massive darkness with pinprick of lights here and there, and just that gaseous entrail in the very far distance.
So, so what? Are you saying either I take your deal or I die sometime in the near future?
I cannot give you a deal, Miss Maple.
Well, sorry, the choices, the two choices you've put up before me.
There are choices that we are given, yes. This gift was not a choice that was given to you, though. I can make it a choice. Everyone deserves a choice.
I feel like it's going to irk somebody that I've recently come into acquaintance with if I choose to step off of the path.
Is it your path or theirs?
Both a little bit. I mean, I don't know. I guess this is what is it? This kind of question is a bit beyond anything I've faced, so
I understand. Take some time to think about it.
okay. Well, at least it's not a do it now or
Oh. And he reaches into his vest and he pulls out incredulously this long rain stick. And he lets it flip over, and you can hear the kind of beads and the beans inside kind of trickling down, and you hear that calming rain just dance down the length of this pole. When you wish to have this conversation again, call on the rain. Go outside. Let your toes feel the grass and dirt around you. And I will come.
okay. I'll think about it.
That's all we can do.
Yeah. I guess since you're talking about choices, do you mind if I ask a question?
Please.
We stop what we doing, is it going to actually matter? Is it going to stop Daniel Thatcher? Is it going to make the world a better place?
He stands there for a moment. For you and your kind, there is no future. The red star, and he points up, and you see in this small pocket of black, there's this sudden eruption of a red star, and it just shoots out this little thin line, almost like the explosion at the end of Star Wars. There is this very thin piece of energy that just shoots out from it, and then it is birthed in the cosmos. And for a moment, it almost looks like an eye looking down on creation. And he points to it. That is the start of the end. The week of nightmares. The end and the beginning.
Wow. Okay. I'll have to think. Yeah.
He pulls his hat off. You can see the bald head and the top of the chalk outline of his skull ends right where the skull would end for him, and he bows regally to you. It has been a pleasure to meet another child of mine.
Anita knows enough of whatever she does, kind of a curtsy to him.
Yeah. And as you look down, as part of your curtsy, you look back up and you're in the shed. You're standing in front of Kathleen, still holding her hands. And Bashir just kind of looks at you. I see he has given you a gift. Do not take that lightly. He demands more than he gives. old Mr. Saturday.
I feel like the price is yeah. I at least have sorry, he gave me a choice and I have to think about that. But not to the damper on the mood. I appreciate you all seeing me, but I will be blunt with you,
Nuts.
and I do apologize. I understand you guys did this ceremony for me, and I greatly appreciate the time, and I have a lot to think about, but I still have to keep moving forward with where I am now.
No, it is a lot to take in. The older generation does not do this for anyone, but I believe you when you said that you were from a different city, as it were.
Yeah. I was not trying to withhold information. The trip was different and weird. Apparently the thing that we are trying to do is on February 14th. So I cannot help my friend with the task that she has to do. Our mutual acquaintance is possibly helpful to her, but he is also semi-indisposed at the moment because of his own choices.
Bernard says something to him in Creole, and he nods. You have our help. Tell us when and where, and we will be there.
I appreciate that. I do. I really do. Do you guys have something I could like write an address down on? Or
yeah. And Bashir leads you out of the shed back to the kind of backyard porch, and he gives you a notepad and a pen.
Anita writes down Lydia's address for her studio / apartment, and the phone number there, and she gives him back the pad. She's like, "This is where I'm staying right now. This is where my friends and I are congregating, as it were. That's the phone number for there. So if I'm there or someone else is there, I do hope that you and your elders could maybe swing by at some point soon and talk to us, because like I said, I'm not the party planner." So
I will call before I come over, and
okay.
I will make sure that it is okay.
Of course. Thank you for this. I'm sorry. It's
no. Will you be okay going to your bicycle on your own?
Yeah, I'll be okay. I'll drive out and let it rip, as it were. So
okay.
Well, sometimes you just gotta let the wind help you think. So
yeah. And as you ride off into the typical Miami traffic, we're gonna go back to the afternoon where we got to see Arthur get to the construction site.
As you're giving me narrative whiplash from that amazing scene. All right.
You pull up and the construction site is in front of you. You know that the streets have been blocked off, but every time you try to look at the construction site itself, your gaze is pushed in a different direction. It's like it's something is preventing you from bringing your attention to the building itself.
Can I still start making my way like
downtown? Sure.
Do we have a police line, or is it just just officers holding people back for now?
No, there's a police tape. There's police tape.
And I suppose first I'll check in with the officers that are already there,
Mhm.
since he said there were a couple already stationed and taking witness statements and stuff.
Yep. And he talks to them, finds out what they know, asks for the report, and then he dismisses them. And he tells them that the two of you have control of the situation now, and to send some replacements in about an hour.
I guess I'll turn to him. What do you want me to start with?
No, the bodies, of course.
All right. And I'll cross the tape and head over.
The tape, you see him cross as you've seen cops do before. And as your hand reaches for the tape and tries to pull up on it, it weighs like a ship's chain for an anchor. It is like almost 100 pounds worth of weight as you're pushing up.
Like I can feel my bicep tensing and all that stuff as I'm trying to lift
Oh,
this
yeah.
thing.
The whole body tenses, your legs flex as the thighs and the shins just kind of brace for this weight that they weren't ready for. And you can feel that everything in your body is trying to pull this tape up. It's paper. It's plastic.
I'm going to let it go.
Okay.
And instead just try and like duck under it instead of lifting it up.
There is a moment where it almost feels like you have to get down on all fours to get under it, because every time that you see it in the corner of your eye, it feels like it's lower and lower and lower than it should be. And it takes an inhuman amount of ability on your behalf to kind of ignore it and push it past and push yourself into the sight. And once you do, you feel immediately the rush of energy that is thrumming in this place.
Same vibe of keep out, or is it just...
There isn't a keep out, as more of a this shouldn't exist. Excuse me. And the sergeant's just kind of walking around nonchalantly. You see him kind of climbing down the rickety wooden ladder into the foundation itself. He's like, "Officer Light, this way.
Coming,
the bodies
sir.
are on the north end."
And I'll follow, trying to keep somewhat like aware of my surroundings, because I had trouble getting in here, so obviously something doesn't want me here.
Yeah. And as you climb down into the hole, every step that you take towards the bodies is like waves crashing against your avatar. Not even you, your avatar itself. And you can feel the armor getting beaten. You can feel the metal starting to warp, starting to rust, starting to crack. There's moments where you can, out of the corner of your eye, you can see shattered pieces of your knight's shield falling by the wayside.
I'm gonna stop advancing.
Okay.
Just take stock for a second.
Yeah, you're maybe 6 feet away from the bodies. You can see the sergeant's already kind of kneeling down by one of them. And he kind of turns to you. "You all right? You're not used to bodies?"
First time uncovering a lot of them, I'll admit.
It's rough the first few times, honestly.
I'll be over in a second,
Yeah, take your time.
and I'm gonna close my eyes and check in on my avatar.
It is in a bad state. You have never, as long as you've had it, as long as you've been awake, which is not a long time, you've only ever seen him in this shining, kind of Excalibur-like persona of just this Vaseline lens-covered image of this amazing knight in shining armor. And now it looks like the Vaseline has been wiped from the camera. The armor looks aged, like how armor would look today if it had been left out in like a home or an estate.
And is the environment still lush, or is it kind of more wintry now?
Oh,
Or anything?
no, he is not wherever it existed, he is not there. He is now standing there in front of you in this exhumed earth that is the foundation of the South Florida Financial Center.
Are you all right?
It looks down at itself. We must press forward.
If you can, and it starts to be too much, tell me, please.
You will know.
And I'll open my eyes and tentatively take another step towards the bodies.
As you step over, you can see the sergeant kind of looks up at you. It helps to breathe in through the nose and out through the mouth. Just don't do it while you're facing the bodies, because sometimes you'll get that dead body smell.
Yes, sir.
I'm not picking that up from these guys. This looked like anything to you, and you see him kind of using his pen to pull up on some of the wrappings. It almost looks like these were mummified in clay.
And you said there's wrappings, like just what they use to cover the bodies, or bandages?
So it's like, it's old. It looks like old classic mummies from television. Like it's got the dirty wrappings, but underneath, instead of the desiccated skin, there's just this thick kind of sarcophagus of clay.
I don't think I've ever seen anything like this.
Yeah, this is weird. Like, this doesn't feel like flesh. And as he clicks the pen into the body, you can see it, instead of dipping and resetting like skin does, it just dips in the shape of the pen's cap. And you see him poke again and again, creating this little triangle of holes. This is weird, right?
I'm going to bite the inside of my cheek
Mhm.
so that I draw blood
Sure.
and mix it around in my mouth as I'm watching. And I'm going to try and use Life 1 and Entropy 1 and just get as much of a sense of what's going on as I can, since
Sure.
I'm sort of hanging in the wind right now.
Go ahead and roll your arete. The place that you're in, unfortunately, currently counts as a nexus, so your difficulty is 5. There's no chance of paradox.
1 success.
Okay. These things have never been alive. There's nothing living inside of them. They're
Never been
definitely attached to what's going on, though, because the threads are simultaneously wrapping themselves around them and also getting frayed and ripped.
And I'm guessing never been alive also means that there's never been a tie to any particular fortune or misfortune either then.
Yeah. And as the sergeant goes to poke a 4th time, the clay hand shoots outward and grabs him by the throat. And you see these 3 forms rise up.
I'm immediately gonna try and like break its grip so he's not being strangled.
Okay. You reach your hand out, and from behind you, in between your arm, between the arm and your body, you see the blade from your knight's sword come through, and it puts itself and its hand in front of your hand, and there's enough of a gap between where his hand is and where the guard is for your hand to fit.
Thank you. I'm gonna do my best to line it up. My avatar seems to know what he's doing, so I'll follow along.
The moment your hand wraps around the blade, it becomes manifest. The knight's hand vanishes. You see the pieces of leather from its gloves, the shattered pieces of metal from the protective armor above it just kind of clatter down to the floor around you. The wonder that you paid for at the beginning of the character creation has made itself manifest.
Well, all right. Yeah, I'm gonna try and dislodge this thing from strangling my sergeant.
Go ahead and roll your strength and melee.
Oh yay, because I'm so strong.
Mm. Not a bad dice pool for you.
No, it's not the worst. And what is my difficulty on that? Sorry.
Difficulty 6.
Cool, 3 successes.
Okay. You bring your sword down on the arm, about halfway where the elbow would be. And the moment your blade comes in contact with this thing, it severs it. Whatever was animating it is quickly destroyed, and you see the clay just collapse around you. All that's left is a small pebble about a fist size that has a Hebrew rune, kind of a Yiddish rune, emblazoned on it, carved into it.
Okay.
And it glows with a bit of magic that you can see with your prime. But once the clay is kind of pulled from it, it starts to fade away.
All right. And are the other 2 bodies still
Yeah.
attacking?
But your sword is designed to destroy things like this. So the second it comes in contact with either one of them, the same thing happens. The clay collapses, and all that's left is the pebble. Excuse me. And your sergeant is just kind of sitting there on his ass, holding his throat clearing his throat and just looking at you like you are something not of this world.
I'm going to turn and put myself between him and those bodies and just do my best to have a sort of guard and, like, if they start advancing, swing.
And now that your sword is out and manifest, you can start to see the ley lines that have been pulled into this spot. You can see that there are spiritual pitons that have been forced to funnel ley lines into this place. And there are runes magically etched all over the foundational pillars that are in this construction site. Runes to keep it hidden, runes to power something, and runes that have 3 in particular that have faded because you have destroyed the protectors of this place.
I'm going to go after the rest of those runes then with this lovely little sword.
Okay.
Because if this place isn't meant to be, that means it's disrupting a cycle, and I can't have that.
It takes you a better part of about 15 to 20 minutes to run around and hacking at the runes. And the moment you finish the last one, like knotwork that has been pulled free, all of the ley lines bounce back to where they belong. And it is unpleasant, to say the least.
All right, Paradox, give me your best shot.
It is not Paradox, but it feels like backlash to you. So if you could soak 2, 3, 5 points of bashing damage.
Oh, God, I miss being a werewolf. Okay.
Yeah.
Soak just comes out to diff 6, right?
Yeah, it's stamina, difficulty 6.
Okay, I got a 6 and a 10, so
Okay.
I soak 2.
Yeah, so you take 3 points of bashing damage as you're battered back and forth, ragdolled in every direction as these magical lines of power are released like rubber bands that had been pulled back and kind of forced into a design and let loose back into their natural state. Every one of them just kind of batters you in one shape or another. Even your avatar looks like it's taken a bit of a beating, as it also mirrors all of the kind of bashing that happens to you. And you can see dents where you got hit, and its armor is cracked. It has taken a heavy toll since you have walked into this place. But behind it now, you can start to see some of that lake, some of the trees in that forest. And as it turns away from you and sits on its stone and vanishes from your field of view, you know that whatever was here has been released.
As I take a deep breath, I'm gonna turn and as slowly and like non-threatening as I can, since he said he looked at me kind of in awe.
Yeah.
I'm gonna approach the sergeant and double check that he's okay.
Oh yeah, he is a sleeper. He has no way to be hurt by the effects that were going on here.
Doesn't look like he's bruised around his throat or anything from the hand.
Not at all. It
All
looks like whatever was here was specifically designed to hurt your kind.
All right, then. Do I still have the sword, or did that vanish with my avatar?
No, it's still in your hand.
I'm going to do my best to sort of keep that out of immediate eye shot from him because I didn't have a sword when I entered this place.
Yep. Yeah. It is a little difficult to hide a knight's sword.
Yeah, I'm more just holding it like away so he doesn't think I'm threatening him with it.
Yep. But you see him kind of looking at you. They were right about you.
What were they right about?
You are something different, something dangerous.
Don't pretend I'm not. But I'm trying to be helpful. Trust me, Sergeant, when I say I want nothing but the best for everyone here. You, myself, all of Miami. I know I can help it. Just don't know how yet.
What even happened to you?
Why don't we start with you telling me how you just saw what happened, and I'll provide additional information as it comes up.
And
Also, while I'm talking to him, do I... Actually, no. This works. I will just place the tip of the sword like against the ground, and since weapons is one of my tools, I'm going to focus through that, my hand on the grip, the length of it, the weight, everything. And I'm going to look and see what entropy's doing to my sergeant.
okay,
I'm checking for something specific. I don't think it's happened, but I'm checking anyways.
okay.
But I don't want to say it until I pass or fail.
Go ahead and roll your arete. Unfortunately, you are no longer in a nexus.
Wow, what a shock.
So this will go up to difficulty 5, but botches will give you paradox.
Gotcha. That's 2 successes, one of which is a 10.
Okay. You reach out
And
and
I'm specifically also checking if he has just awakened.
no.
Okay. Just
He
to
is
be
not awakened.
Just to be sure.
But you notice that, excuse me, the image of an hourglass over him becomes prominent, but the top part of the hourglass is empty, but sand still keeps trickling into the bottom. He kind of looks at you. You all right? Why are you looking at me like that?
A lot of information that I don't have context for, Sarge. That's all. Why don't we go back up that ladder and collect and figure things out a bit before we come back down here?
Yeah, that. And he holds his throat again. He's like, "That might be for the best."
You're all right. You're not hurt or anything?
No, just a bit shocked is all.
That's entirely understandable. You're not the only one.
What about these things? And he points at the golems.
Do I find other beads
No,
beside just the one?
they're just the ones that are inside each of the 3 bodies.
All right. I'll collect those.
The moment your hand picks one up, you see an image of an older gentleman, maybe mid 30s to late 30s. There's salt and pepper through his brown hair at the temples. There's a bit of a beard. It's very easily to assume that this man is a professor at the university, either FIU, UM. He has that look, excuse me, that dress shirt, sleeves rolled up, the tie, the vest, the pants. You see that he's the one that created these three. But you also see that there should have been sarcophagi here, one for each of them. There should have been a book that was hidden with them. It's almost like you're seeing a scene from behind the scenes and then a scene that was actually filmed.
So I'm seeing both post and pre-edit, essentially.
You're seeing your timeline and another timeline superimposed on top of each other.
Can I tell which is which?
You can tell that the one that doesn't have the sarcophagus is yours.
Okay.
But you also see that the one with the sarcophagus is the one that should have been.
So there's a lot missing in my side of things.
Yeah.
Sarge, did you happen to see a payphone anywhere nearby?
Yeah, there's one down the block, across the street, over by that little pizza place.
I'm gonna go make a call real quick. Are you gonna be okay by yourself?
Yeah, I think I'll just wait in the car.
Yeah, it's a good idea. And Sergeant, if you want to get perspective and talk with me, I can do that. As best I can. I'm sure there's some things that won't. And Arthur actually does look just sort of generally around and up, he doesn't want to say reality itself, but he's miming it. There's certain things that probably won't let me speak as much as I'd like to, but I'll do my best.
I mean,
Okay.
Why does this society think you're out to destroy the world? Can you destroy the world?
No. No,
Okay.
I cannot destroy the world. If anything, sir, I'm trying to prevent exactly that. I don't know what I did to offend this society, but I promise you it's nothing. They have their information wrong. I'm not saying they're bad, I'm just saying they're not right, not entirely. But I will happily provide you with what I can talk about.
Okay.
I'll be right back, and I'm going to rush off to a payphone.
Yeah. And you see that somebody is using it, but as they see you come up in your uniform, they quickly end the conversation, hang up the phone, like, "Hey, sorry, officer, I was just making a phone call."
No. I'm sorry. You could have finished. I just need the
please.
phone for later.
Go ahead.
Can I real quick, as they're walking away, vibe check them too? Just because I'm now not trusting anything in this situation. What if this person was here and activated it or whatever the fuck? I don't know.
Yeah. How do you want to do your vibe check? What do you want to pull on? Pulling on a sphere? You're just doing something mundane?
I think just entropy again.
Okay.
And I'm a bit too frazzled to use any particular focus.
We have found your crutch.
Yes, I have. Well, it was my crutch from the start.
Okay. So it's going to be a difficulty 7.
1 success.
Okay. There looks to be a thread that's already attached to you coming from this guy as he's kind of backing away. Excuse me.
Any particular color that I'm seeing with it?
It's very vibrant. Like, this isn't the first time today you have come across him.
I'm going to do my best to commit his face to memory.
Okay.
And then just let him leave for now. I got other shit I need to deal with.
Sure.
And I'm going to do a call to Lydia, or at least her place.
Okay. You dial the number, you hear the ringtone, and instead of hearing somebody pick up, you hear that sound from the Matrix whenever they are jacked in, and there is the city around you becomes holographic. There is just the numbers, the letters. You can see the coding of what makes things what, and then you also see the webs, and you see the spiders, and one of them has locked its attention on you. And this is where we're going to call it for tonight.
Fuck.
Addicts, you're supposed to vibe check the spider.
Vibe check the spider.
Howie!
But you got your wonder.
Yeah, no kidding. It's not exactly what I'd refer to it as, though.
Yeah.
More like a blunder.
3 episodes in, how's everybody feeling?
On the verge of some sort of panic.
Thoroughly behind a boulder heading straight towards me.
No.
Does it sound
Alistair.
like...
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, does the boulder sound slightly like a Honda rolling down a hill?
Alistair just feels like shit.
Oh my goodness.
Thank you guys for participating.
Of course.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Usually I'd say any time, but I'm not sure anymore.
Welcome to Mage, run by Ravnos Archon.
Oh,
God, I
you're
thought
welcome.
I thought the Loa summoning ritual would be as nuts as it got this episode. Holy fuck.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us tonight for Mage the Ascension, Season 4, Episode 3. Oh my gosh, craziness and amazing scenes. Seriously, oh my god, I totally fangirled over Baron Samedi. Oh my god. But yeah, so thank you. If you have enjoyed watching this show, you can join us on our Discord. We actually cast this show from our Discord, and we post casting calls periodically, actually coming up before the end of the month. I know Shanky is going to be posting up a casting call for a one-shot of Demon. So you'll want to be on our Discord if you want to try out playing a High Torment Demon. Because that's coming. And if you enjoyed this session and want to catch up on previous sessions or back seasons, you can find that on our YouTube. Check that out. And we have also on the Ishvel YouTube, we have Call of Cthulhu 7E, run by the amazing GM Tess, and also her D&D campaign that is finished. It's been finished for a while, but all those episodes of D&D set in her own unique homebrew world of Ishvel is available on her YouTube. Oh gosh. Oh yeah, merch. Check out merch. I still don't have any Mage merch yet, but I need to make some. I just haven't had any spare time. But as soon as I have some spare time, I will make some Mage merch. I will, because I definitely need a t-shirt that says #cult quotes. But
I'd also probably enjoy a T-shirt of those hermetic bastards.
those hermetic bastards. Yes, yes. And then in parentheses, the precursor to Tremere.
It's just a Splinter Cell at this point. Fuck.
Judy just said #Relin cult and #I know her. I am a cult leader. So check out the merch in our Zazzle shop. We have a bunch of studio merch. We have merch for various streams that we have, and it's amazing. It's really cool stuff. And we do not mark it up above what they recommend for listing, so we really don't make much at it. It's just so y'all can get some cool stuff. That's all. And I'm trying to think. I'm so freaking out of it from this session. Yeah, friends. Okay, thank you, Shanky. The disembodied voice of Shanky. They don't hear you. They probably hear you on my mic. But check out our friends in Twitch chat right now, including Ravnos Archon, who streams on his channel. Go ahead and tell us what you got going on.
I have a Vampire 5e game that I run on Mondays. It's a dual storyline of a Camarilla and an Anarch groups, coteries. I normally run Werewolf of the Wild West or L5R on Tuesdays, but I need to finish Mage. And then Fridays right now is just every other Friday I do Dungeons and Dragons because my Star Wars game ended.
Ah, cool. And of course, the Ivy Raven also streams. Tell us what you're doing.
I am a Destiny 2 VTuber, and I am trying to stream more stuff. It's just kind of pain in the ass at times. So
it definitely can be. And also check out Junie Von Esch, who is in Twitch chat right now. She is over at the RPG table. They run a Vampire V5 stream on Saturday evenings. You'll want to go check them out. And of course, Mischievous Red also does some video game streaming on her channel. So go check those folks out. Give them a follow. Give them some love from the McStabbers because we love our friends. And coming up over the next week, we have, let me double check my schedule. Okay, so on Saturday at 3 p.m. Eastern, we have our amazing European GM Tiss running Call of Cthulhu 7E with London Esoteric Society set in Victorian London. That group of investigators is doing all the sus stuff, investigating cultists, reading books that should be burned, summoning things that should not be summoned, and basically going insane and becoming luckless. So join them Saturday at 3 p.m. Eastern for that fun romp through Victorian London with Call of Cthulhu 7E. And then on Sunday at 5 p.m. Eastern, we have Windy City After Dark. We haven't recorded the session yet because we record on Thursdays for streaming on Sundays. But I can give you a little hint. There's going to be 2 special guests in this week's episode. 2. Dos. Yeah. 2 storylines require guests for this session. So you won't want to miss that Sunday at 5 p.m. Eastern. And then we will be back here on Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern with episode 4 of season 4 of Mage the Ascension, Neon Hurricane. Y'all, I'm still just kind of woo after that session. Okay.
You know, I got the attention of the Weaver spirits. That's not a good
That
thing.
is not a good thing. That's why there's a boulder rolling straight for me. Yeah. Because now it's got my number.
I am so sorry. I am not an etherite. I did not know that would happen. I don't know why it happened.
Oh my God. Okay, so as we close out, I want to say, please, one of the things we dealt with tonight was a touchy subject. We dealt with mental illness and trauma and addiction because of that. We really did deliver it, I believe, with amazing respect because both Lydia and Anita approached it from it was Alistair's choice, whether he was ready for recovery or not. And I can tell you as a nurse, I have worked with addicts. I still work with addicts. That is key to a successful recovery is for them to feel empowered to make the choice. But it is also a choice to take care of yourself. If you are struggling with mental illness, trauma, addiction, please get help if you feel like you need to recover. Right now in chat, there are a list of numbers for a variety of crisis lines available in America. And there is also a website for Find a Helpline, where you can find helplines for various crisis interventions in over 140 countries. So if you aren't American and checking this out, you can go to findahelpline.com and find what you need. And I'm Mama McStabber. I'm a registered nurse. I'm one of the nicest mean nurses you're ever going to meet. Timber Brad here is one of the meanest, one of the nicest mean nurses, meanest nice nurse, one of the other. I can't remember because my brain is mush. But we're going to tell you, please go get vaccinated. You can get your flu shot and your COVID booster all at the same time and maybe feel icky for about a day. Seriously, get it done. Get it done. If your polio vaccine's out of date, get that updated. Get yourself a polio shot. Seriously, if you qualify for monkeypox vaccination, get that shit because that's still around. And, take care of yourself so you can protect others around you, really, because herd immunity is a thing. It's a thing for a reason. It's good. It's good. So please take care of yourself and get those shots. And yeah, literally, Republicans have bills to ban abortion federally. They now have a bill to ban gender-affirming care for anyone under the age of 10. And that not only is banning care, but it also bans anyone trans from interacting with anyone under 10. So teachers will lose their jobs. Healthcare workers will lose their jobs if the Republicans have their way.
Also, as a trans person, I just want to point out when they say gender affirming care, they aren't talking about hormones or surgery in the case of children who are 10 or younger.
Nope.
They are talking about using the pronouns that child wishes to have used.
Yep.
That is considered gender affirming care, and they want to ban that and legislate anybody from being able to actually do that.
Yep.
So.
Yep. Yeah. That's what your Republican Party here in America is trying to do, y'all. And I'm not just talking about just banning I'm talking a federal ban on abortions with no exceptions. No exceptions. So literally they want to criminalize people who get raped, who are victims of incest, who provide abortions to others, mothers who can't afford another child. That's what they're doing. They're trying to basically attack women now, federally. So please vote blue. That's all I'm saying. Please, just down the whole fucking ticket at this point. Fuck the GOP. Fuck them and not the fun way. Fuck Putin. Oh yeah, and the GOP's like Putin's biggest fucking fan group now. So that should tell you all you need to know about the fucking party. Fuck Putin. And fuck the Iranian government. They are literally now massacring political prisoners. Yeah, massacring them. Yeah. It's not enough they go into schools and abuse, detain, and rape and murder people under the age of 18. No, now they're going and executing political prisoners that weren't there for execution just because they don't agree with the laws that subjugate women to severe oppression. Yeah. And don't be a narcissistic twat in any group. For real. Don't be a Satine and Jameson Stone in the fucking TTRPG groups. Don't be a Donald Trump in any fucking thing. For real. And if you are dealing with someone like that, just fucking extricate yourself. You're not ghosting. You're just not entertaining mediocrity. Said with love. Good night, y'all.